I want to thank Leonard for the use of his bedroom. I want to thank Jeff for catching me on my way out the door. I have an hour's drive and I also have a fever, so spent last night watching action movies. And I'm going to read one piece instead of two. I have a short story collection that's going to come out next year. That is, if I write it all. So all I have to do is write 45,000 words between February 1st of this year and February 1st of next year. And boy, that gave me pause the first time. This is called Ready for the Grave. My name is Doris. I do hair. All kinds of hair. Short, long, layered. I make curly hair straight and straight hair curly. And I turn brown hair to honey and blonde hair to mahogany. Oh, and I do highlights and asymmetrical cuts, the scissors flying. The women leave my chair transformed. I do magic, they say, but all the time I am snipping, washing, folding foil. I listen, and every day am inundated with stories. Stories of the human heart, stories of grief, happiness, anxiety, and excitement. As I clip, I listen and nod and say, periodically as they chatter on. All the stories come into my mind where I lock them away. But this one story, this one customer, 71-year-old Mrs. Hamilton, this is a story I must tell. When Mrs. Hamilton came into my shop Wednesday last, I was prepared to hear her complaints about traffic, prices, snotty shopkeepers, her staff. I've been hearing these laments for years. When she marched through the door, her eyes wild. She was wearing a green jacket and a purple skirt, mismatched brown shoes, one with buckles, the other laces. As a woman of a certain age, she usually paid close attention to her appearance. Today I was a bit confused about her choice of clothes. She stomped her feet. Doris, she said, my hair, cut it off, every strand. Now, Mrs. Hamilton. I helped her into a chair and looked at her curls that I'd set a few days before. Her face was full of crow's feet. She had lines along her brow, around her mouth, and brilliant blue eyes which flashed with anger or pleasure. She was wearing her favorite pearl earrings and peach lipstick. What seems to be the matter, Mrs. H? I asked, fluttering out her smock and laying it over her slender frame. I hate my hair, she complained, her lips tight as she looked into the mirror with determination. My body's going to hell. I can't get my shoes on without help. I creak when I get out of bed in the morning. Get me ready for the grave, Doris. I'm going there anyway. You'll be cold without any hair, Mrs. H, I cooed, bringing her over to the wash sink where I smoothed her scalp with shampoo and patted her head dry with a towel. She moaned as I massaged her temples. Back in the chair again, I slowly ran the comb through her thin hair. I never pulled, never made my customers wince. Today I was extra careful. Mrs. H closed and opened the clasp of her handbag until I asked her if I could put it on the counter. Still, her hands free, she fidgeted, her fingers making knots in her lap. I'm all alone now, Doris. She grabbed my arm. My husband's left. My children moved to hell and gone to Nova Scotia. Just me and my little dog Fred, and he's got mange. Can I bring him in? I looked at her face in the mirror. Well, we don't have products for dogs, Mrs. H. I pretended to snip at the back of her head. Now really, I can style it any way you like. All of it off now. I pressed my hand to my heart. Oh, Mrs. H, your hair is your prettiest feature. She sniffed. Brings out the blue in your eyes, ma'am. I lied, a snip, snip in the air. Hair attracts the opposite sex. Like I would know. My own hair was down to my waist and didn't help me at all. I smoothed my hands over her head. You've got a bumpy scalp, ma'am. So who cares? She harumphed. Mr. Petite down at Sage's, he wouldn't care about my lumps or bumps. Lucy wouldn't mention a thing. Just who am I supposed to impress, Doris? She asked, hands fluttering again. Yourself, ma'am, I mentioned. I glanced around the salon, looking for Beatrice. She had a smooth way with the older set. My eyes landed on an older gentleman relaxing in a chair by the front window, Beth Ann running her hands through his thick white mane. "How about him, Mrs. H?" I mentioned, pointing in the mirror. He glanced at Mrs. H and smiled. "Oh," she exclaimed, "Doris, quick, do something, make me beautiful. If he sees me like this, I'm doomed." Thank you.